Hey guys, welcome to the URBONUS podcast, the last episode from the FIBA World Cup 2023 Manila. I'm joined by Rytis Vyšniauskas, Augustas Šuliauskas, and I'm not sure if you hear the noise around, but everybody's leaving. A lot of excitement in this room. I've just came back from the press conference of German national team. I felt basically the same way like Gordon Herbert. He folded the paper, the stat sheet, he threw it out. Dennis Schroeder did the same, and Herbert was just sipping the beer all the time in the press conference. Complained a little bit about Filipino beer, but was enjoying the moment. And I was just happy to see this guy, celebrating, because watching him before, it felt like it was such a draining, tough experience for him. But now, the relief is gone. The beer is taking all over the place, and it's time to celebrate. Either you're a German fan or just basketball fan in general. I think it was a wonderful World Cup. How do you feel about the competition?
We finally have the world champions, I think, from the Denver Nuggets, now Germany are the world champions. And I love the moment of Dennis and Coach Herbert celebrating right after the game on the court. I thought it was a beautiful moment. We saw how they were fighting in the quarterfinal game, or was it even before? But it doesn't really matter. But now they're celebrating together. Germany was a great story in this tournament. I thought they showed that teams still win in basketball. They had so many different guys. They had a 9-10 man rotation, and I thought everyone had their say in at least any game. Even Maodolo, who played like less than 10 minutes today, he had a couple of great games. Andreas Obst, a lot of depended on him in the semifinal. Franz Wagner missing a lot with the injury, stepping up big in the final. Dennis Schroeder was always that same constant, the leader. But Voigtman, amazing in and out performances throughout the game. I thought Daniel Theis was one of the best, all around guys on the floor. Not only his defense, but also his ability to shoot the basketball, to beat closeout. So Moritz Wagner was amazing coming off the bench, So I thought Germany team was a real victory for team basketball. And today was a great game.
It's probably going to be our lowest quality podcast because of all the noise and really bad Wi-Fi connection. I'm literally sitting in a darkest corner of the media room, but it is what it is. I'm really happy about the last day here in Mall of Asia. I'm really happy with the final that we witnessed. Some high quality basketball, amazing effort from both sides. First of all, Serbia deserves a lot of respect for their performance in the whole competition, but even in the final, although they lost, but they just lost in a battle. They never gave up, and they were close to a really superb comeback. They were down 12, but in the fourth quarter, they did all the right things to be back, and they actually had the opportunities to tie the game, to maybe force an overtime. But again, Germany, led by Dennis Schroeder, an amazing point guard, an amazing player, and with so many role players stepping up today, they deserve this win. To me, two names that I want to mention, Johannes Voigtman and Isaac Bonga, two role players who did a lot of things today, defensively and offensively as well. And of course, August already said what a talented team they have, a quality team, and the emphasis is on team. Once again, this is a real team. I think up until the final, they basically got there because of their quality on offense, which was clear to see in the semifinal when they beat Team USA. But in the final, what actually got them the win, in my opinion, the major reason for that is actually their aggressive defense and the way they were working on defense with their legs, with their hands, And it all starts from your leader once again. So we will talk about Dennis Schroeder as the MVP. We will talk about his averages, his shooting percentages, and all that. But when your best player has the willingness to guard the other team's best player, it's just special. And it reminded me of the Warriors Lakers series when he at some point in the series he just said, "I got Curry." So the guy has this mentality that he not only he wants to lead the team to victory, but he also is willing to do the hard work on defense. And I think he did an amazing job on Bogdanovic, especially in the second half.
I thought this move, to start with Dennis on bogey, I was okay. This is really serious, because you have Andreas Obst, the let's say the direct matchup with which would be okay. This is shooting guard versus shooting guard on that team, but or Franz Wagner putting a bigger body, but your team leader who has the highest usage rate on offense, who basically this guy took 26 shots in the quarterfinal game. So today he took 17 shots. The amount of drives he has during the game, the amount of energy he has to spend on the offensive end is just amazing. And this guy played 34 minutes today and defended Bogdan Bogdanovic for the whole game, and he was glued to him. And I actually thought that this was a really nice decision, and I'm not sure. I would be interested to know who decided that. Did Dennis said, I got bogey, or did Coach Herbert was like, yeah, we will put Dennis on Bogdanovic? I would be really interested to know that. But this guy played 34 minutes, scored 28 points, and was amazing, in off-ball defense. Because yes, Bogdanovic had 17 points today. A lot of those, the majority of them in the first half, but the shots he made was extremely tough ones, and it's not like those shots were easy. Plus, Germany were switching sometimes on the offense, so he didn't score much on Dennis. And when he scored, even against him or other guys, it was just extremely tough shots. So kudos to Dennis for performance of both sides of the court.
And Dennis MVP-ness goes even beyond the floor. Gordon Herbert said a very good thing, that this whole journey started in 2021 September, when he decided, as soon as he got the job to coach the German national team, he went to meet Dennis Schroeder. He drove to Braunschweig. They spoke for 3-4 hours. And now you can see the press conference, you can see the pictures, how they managed to vibe with each other. Dennis now is so proud of teaching Gordon Herbert new words like shout out, giving a shout out. It wasn't Gordon Herbert's thing before, but we could see that Dennis also made an impact. But what I want to say that there was a moment, especially last year in 2022 during the Eurobasket, Dennis Schroeder was a free agent. And there was a moment when NBA teams seriously questioned his ability to implement into a winning squad, his ability to be not the main guy of the team. And I would say his personality. I think that personality was questioned, his character, his mentality. But after that Eurobasket, he shined as a real leader of this new German national team group. And then he got the job in the LA Lakers. And now 2023, he's the MVP of the tournament. He leads the team, plays very great all-around game. And there was this game against Latvia, which made me also feel bad about him, about his decisions during that game. But we all remember what was the reaction of the teammates. If Dennis Schroeder was an asshole, nobody was about to, try to hug him, to try to, to cheer him up and say, hey, man, it's just won a game and we still have semifinal and final to play, and you're gonna, bounce back and you're gonna shine as you can. And that's what happened. So the whole Dennis Schroeder thing, the whole German national team starts from that conversation. The way they managed to build the team, the real group is something else. And I really enjoyed following this German national team. I feel proud and privileged that I had a chance to follow them from Köln, from Eurobasket, where Lithuania played in Eurobasket. And I saw their first official steps in that tournament. I fell in love with that team from the tip off because of their game. Let's say by European standards, they were different. They were free. They were exciting. And then, of course, meeting those personalities, not only stars. Schroeder was great. Franz Wagner is just a unique kid. But then guys like Maudolo, Johannes Thiemann, I mean, I want to be in that bar where they're going to celebrate because this is a special group of guys.
Hey, in these last 2 years, I actually fell in love with Franz Wagner. I can't help it. He's just becoming one of my favorite players so quickly. I can't remember myself admiring a 20-year-old or 21-year-old as much as I do admire Franz Wagner now. Maybe only Luka Doncic could compete in that, but now we're finding the other side of Luka Doncic, and we're sometimes saying, "Hey, man, there's this side what we don't like." And Wagner to me just seems like some perfect professional basketball player created in some laboratory in the dungeons of Germany, where some mad scientist said, "Well, look, now I'm going to create a perfect basketball player from all the German players we had in the past. I'm gonna have a little bit of Dirk. I'm gonna have a little bit of Detlef Schrempf, or I'm gonna have a little bit of somebody else." I'm just throwing names now, and to me, he's capable of anything, and also he has. It just seems to me, I don't know the guy, but it seems to me like he has a perfect character, and he is more mature than you would expect him to be at this age. So I'm in love with Franz Wagner, I must admit it.
Hey, there's one sequence that stood out to me today about Franz Wagner. I think it was the third quarter where Serbia just had an amazing defensive possession. Like they were denying off the ball. Germany couldn't play their set. It was, I don't know, maybe 5 seconds left. Germany had few passes. Basically, the ball is like 8 meters away from the basket. And Franz Wagner just takes the ball, has a couple of seconds to invent his shot, to do something, and just nails a long three-pointer that swishes the net. And I'm like, this gotta hurt so much for Serbia. They just played an amazing sequence of defense, the one they showed, in the semifinal, and they tried it again in the second half. But that three-pointer, I thought was okay. This is France is not joking around today. France is here to win the title, and you mentioned his age, and I think his age is what will allow us to see Germany dominant in Europe and in the whole world, not for only this competition, but they are here to stay. They are here to stay. It looked quite impossible that Germany will be world champions of basketball 10 years ago, even with Dirk Nowitzki, because they didn't have as many good players. They had one amazing player in Dirk. They didn't have as much good guys around. Now it's not only Dennis, it's not only France, but because France is so young, Germany, I think, are here to stay for a long time in the basketball, elite.
And you guys already mentioned, but I just also wanted to give another shout out to other players. Of course, many people will talk about Dennis Schroeder, the MVP performance. We're talking about Franz Wagner. We are not going to stop, being in awe of him. Daniel Theis was great, but I mean, I just love their role players so much. I mean, throughout the whole competition, we were talking about Andreas Obst, Johannes Thiemann. Today, Isaac Bonga, Isaac Bonga, he was regularly hitting at least one corner three throughout the in every game, and helping his team a lot. And these defensive plays, these blocks, him being so tall and guarding, best offensive players of the ever teams. And today, I mean, Johannes Voigtman. I'm not sure if I ever saw a better defensive performance by Voigtman. Of course, for the record, we have to mention that apparently Nikola Milutinov suffered an injury in semifinal, and he was playing through injury. But I mean, the way he stopped, the way he played defense, how emotional Voigtman was. He was flexing after defensive stops, after defensive plays. I mean, I was just so proud, to see him contributing this way. And that's, in my eyes, what made this German team special. They had the right role players that always stood up in important games and helped those leaders like Dennis Schroeder and Franz Wagner.
Hey, and it's good that you've mentioned Voigtman and in more detail, let's say, summed up his performance today, because I think there was also one really huge moment in the game where after one of Avramovic's three-pointers, Serbia cut the deficit to 4 points, and Germany responded with Voigtman hitting that corner three. And that was really big. That was really big. I think it was like a short roll for Daniel Thijs. Then he threw the ball to one corner. They switched the side, and they found Johannes Voigtman in a good spot of position. But knowing the fact Voigtman didn't necessarily have a good season in EuroLeague, it seemed like he was kind of lost in Milan. And last year, even though they won the bronze in Eurobasket, Johannes Voigtman wasn't that great. He's known for the ability to stretch the floor and shoot, but in the Eurobasket in Berlin and Cologne, he wasn't shooting well. At some point, it seemed like he lost his confidence, and that translated to his season in EuroLeague. But now in the World Cup, as you said, when you play so hard on defense, it's probably easier for you to do something good on offense. It's just how it works in this game. So yeah, I mean, we could spend as much time talking about every role player as we've spent talking about Dennis Schroeder or Franz Wagner being the key players, let's say leaders, best scorers or whatever. Because without a good team, they couldn't do it. It wouldn't be possible. And it's like Germany doesn't even have, let's say, all the best players they could have, but they have the best players that fit together. Because if you take each player separately, you could say, well, maybe they could upgrade Timon to Hartenstein, or maybe they could add Maxi Kleber or Thibaut Pleiss or whatever. But Coach Gordy Herbert just picked the best group of guys that click together. They're good in the locker room, and they're pretty good on the court, I have to say.
Sorry that I'm laughing. I just love your German pronunciation, man.
I was really about perfect. To say the same
You're
thing.
You're really perfect, bro.
I was about to say the same thing, guys.
Maxi Kleber.
Maxi Kleber. And it's Voigtman, not Voigtman. Actually,
yeah, we'll try to be better for the next year, okay, Rytis? But like, I just hope German people are really appreciative of how you're trying to pronounce their name.
Hey, August, do you remember how he wanted to start a podcast? I mean, Germany is now the world champions of basketball. They won the FIBA World Cup. Yeah. It's a huge thing. It should be a huge thing in Germany. But in the middle of the final, the German Football Federation fires their head coach Hansi Flick, and I believe that all the headlines in Germany are now about Hansi Flick being fired instead of German men's basketball team being the world champions. I'm just so frustrated about that. Can you just wait for? Can you just fire him tomorrow in the morning? I mean, why do you have to do that?
Just taking the spotlight from basketball, even in their. This has to be Germany's greatest moment in basketball, like world champion. They have never been world champions, so
definitely.
Right now, tomorrow morning, and the newspaper of tomorrow morning. I really want to see that. I hope somebody, I don't know, sends it to me on Twitter. But I don't think it's going to be a headline of basketball. Our world basketball team is world champions. It's going to be probably the head coach is fired.
But hey, I also want to share something. I collected some print screens from Twitter from German football stars celebrating this victory, and there's a great tweet by Mats Hummels. He says, "World champions of Germany."
Hey, I saw Nicolas Batum saying, "Congratulations, Germany are the champions of planet Earth," or something like that. So
and also on a more serious note, I actually wanted to start a podcast by saying these things, but I'm gonna say it now since we're in a minute 20. Shout out to Ognian Dobrich. It should be so tough for you to get injured in the almost basically the first play in a final in the most important game of your career, and not to be able to help the team. That must hurt, but that's part of the game, unfortunately. Uh, to the whole Serbian team, as I said, they deserve a lot of credit. And these tournaments are actually about players like Avramovic, about players like Žagars, about all these guys that you don't really think about them during the season. I don't think the name Avramovic was mentioned more than once in any of our podcasts during the EuroLeague season. And all of a sudden, he's the guy.
Which is different. He's a thing. He's a meme. Yeah, I mean, he had his moments during the season.
But did we really talk about him during the season? Yes. Okay, man. Maybe we mentioned him.
I believe we talked about his defensive pressure. That's for sure.
During the season,
so many great moments.
Okay, maybe I don't remember that, but it's not just about his defense. As I said, also after the semifinals, offensively he started carrying the team in the fourth quarter. He started making some impossible plays that you wouldn't normally expect from him. That one 3-pointer over Thijs. Then he has the confidence to shoot another one over Folkman, and he gets fouled. And where does he have all this energy? I mean, I don't think there are too many players that will play at this rate for, let's say, 4 or 5 minutes, and he was doing this for the whole second half, because it wasn't a particularly good game for Stefan Jovic, their starting point guard. So Pešić had to play Avramovic even more than usual. So it's crazy.
I really thought that Serbians, lacked. We mentioned Dobrić and his injury. We said Milutinov was playing through injury, but Serbians also said that Bogdan Bogdanovic, I thought, was playing through the flu or whatever illness he had. And despite his amazing first half, obviously any Serbian will say this, that they lacked Bogdanovic in the second half. And it was not only, Germany's defense that was amazing, but also I thought he missed some shots, and then I just wanted to be him more willing to take these tough shots. I'm happy that Alexa had this game. He was carrying the team, but I just don't expect a guy to be 150% playing defense and then lead the team for 10 minutes in the fourth quarter. Like, it's just not impossible to get back, to play this defense, to score the points, and then to get back and then win the game all by one player. So I thought Nikola Jovic was trying to do a little bit too much in the second half, and after missing some good looks, he was really hesitant in closeout situations. He wasn't looking at the rim when he got an offensive rebound. He wasn't looking to shoot the ball as much in the second half, and Germans used it. And with Bogdanovic, not having the ball, not looking at the rim so often, Alexa had to do everything. But I was like, prior to knowing that Bogdanovic was playing through illness, I was like, man, I wish he would, he would have the ball more. He would try to do more. And as I was like, Filip Petrushev post-ups or Davidovac, playing, beating a closeout is not going to beat this Germany team. They're just too good. So,
and I just feel very bad for Marko Guduric. He had this open corner free in the beginning of the last minute. He had at least a couple situations where he could easily finish in one place. Instead, he missed those shots. So it was a very difficult game for Marko Guduric. And I remember that we were emphasizing that in the quarterfinal, the semifinal, these Serbian players, almost all of them, they were stepping up and helping Bogdanovic to lead the team, because usually Bogdanovic was doing his greatness in the first half, like scoring almost 20 points, and then guys shared the lead. In this game, it felt like both Milutinov, both Guduric, some other guys, Jovic. It wasn't the best night for them offensively. That what maybe Team Serbia liked. But I mean, it's really hard. I mean, Dobrić, you can imagine how better they were about to try to play defense against Dennis Schroeder than now. I mean, you can play like against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You can put Dobric on him. Avramovic is bringing his own energy. It's a way different volume of defense, of defensive effort thrown onto Schroeder. And now you miss Dobric in the opening minutes of the game. You have this heavy load for Avramovic on both ends of the side. It really hurts. I mean, and especially when you don't have Bogdanovic at his 100% health, who also can play very good defense. So these circumstances for Serbia were really tough, and they managed to stay in the game. That's another crazy part about this team. And as much as we were happy about Germany, as much as we're celebrating their win because they deserved it so much, I mean, if the result, if the score was on Serbian side, we would do the same with Serbia because of the challenges they faced, the way they surprised everybody, and this team effort, resilience until the last moment. Amazing performance for Serbia.
And you know what? I think that Germany had the best pick and roll coverage that Serbia faced throughout the tournament. Because let's see who they beat in quarterfinals and semifinals. Like in quarterfinals, they faced Lithuania, not a team that's known for guarding the pick and roll very well. Actually, that's one of our weaknesses. Canada, they're very physical. They're very good in man-to-man defense and in various situations, but not necessarily a very good team guarding the pick and roll. And Germany today just did a great job defending the pick and rolls. This is part of the reason why Jovic was so empty, and in some situations they even managed to steal the ball, to read the passing lanes. And I think that Germany has all the tools to be a really good pick and roll defending team, and in today's basketball, I think that's huge. That's very important, and you need guys like Theis to be good at this, and they do have not only Theis, they have other players as well. So yeah, I think that's also an important part of this final. I'm sorry about all the noise. It's kind of disturbing me a little bit, but also what I wanted to add, and maybe you will have your takes on this. These knockout competitions will always have a what if storyline, and I think Germany faced these what if situations in every stage of the knockout. I mean, I'm talking about the knockout stage, quarterfinals, semifinals, and the finals. Because what if Davis Bertans makes that shot? What if Anthony Edwards makes that shot? And what if Marko Guduric makes that shot? So these competitions are so tough because in the end it might depend on one moment, on one shot, one opportunity. This is everything you ever wanted. I just improvised.
You just casually dropping Eminem. Okay, now. This is the last day. This is the last day of the World Cup. You can feel it here.
And you know what's really disturbing is that on the WhatsApp media chat we received a message that the media working room, which we are in right now, is closing in 15 minutes. So we kind of have to rush this podcast.
50 or 15?
15, yeah, 15, I mean, not 50.
I mean, you could do 25. You could do 25. Come on, guys.
I'm trying. 25. I'm actually
I'm trying, Jennifer.
While Rytis is throwing some Eminem lines, I'm trying to handle this business with the media officer here in Philippines. Right. So we'll see. I'll try to get at least 15 more minutes.
Okay. I thought the pick and roll defense of Germany, I mean, just their versatility, obviously their plan was clear. We are going to risk when Bogdanovic is okay, Donatas. They were risking, from Stevan Jovic, obviously in the beginning. He was missing some shots, and he was not the same Stevan Jovic that hit 3 pointers and 1 step back against Lithuania, and it just wasn't his day. And losing Dobric hurt a lot, I thought, in pick and roll creation. With Bogdanovic being pressured so much, and but Germany's ability to change defensive coverages. Let's say they were switching a lot in the first half. They said, "Okay, you have so many offensive weapons, Serbia. We are going to try allowing you to expose these mismatches, but we are going to make it hard for you." And And they did that. They were scoring some hard buckets. In the second half, they were playing either switch or either drop defense. And, I thought their help side coverages of Germany were extremely on point today, extremely timely. We saw Bonga getting some blocks. We saw Wagner being crucial in help side defenses. And just all the guys, there were so many moments where Serbia seemed like in a good position to score, but they didn't. And Germany had a chance to run in the transition, which is a huge weapon for France, for Dennis, for this high volume shooting team. And just so I thought their ability to mix up the defensive strategies was huge today. And one more thing I wanted to add about Voigtman. I thought, even on the last play, now I remembered, when Dennis scored that layup, which was basically, the dagger in this game. Voigtman was playing a center, and Nikola Milutinov was guarding him, and he was the first defender on the strong side while Dennis was driving right. And, this is because of Voigtman's shooting, Milutinov is not under the rim. Milutinov is like the first guy to do the stunt, which is he is not used to doing. And because Voigtman is even standing a bit further down the line, it was so much space for Dennis to drive. And even with Alexa being an amazing defender, if you are leaving any guy, any player on the planet one-on-one in a speed battle with Dennis Schroeder, I'm not really going to go against Dennis in this situation. So just tells you how well they are structured around each other, this German team.
Guys, bad news. I mean, they're not going into any negotiations, so we have to close it in like 7-8 minutes. So I think we said enough about impressive journey of Germany and Serbia. I just wanted to hear your very short takes about Canada, USA. From my side, there's just one thing. I think that I'm actually so proud of Dylan Brooks, of his all-around greatness in the most important stages of this competition, starting from the game against Spain, 22 points, these 3-pointers, crucial defensive plays. Then there was this Luka game. And now for him to finish the tournament with 39 points, 7 3-pointers, and to turn the booing into MVP chance. I mean, I was impressed, really. And I really feel how much he joined this campaign, as he said also that it was not about the contracts. It was not about the politics inside the team. It was just about playing pure basketball, and he enjoyed his time playing under Jordi Fernandez. So, this booing to MVP thing probably is the first time when somebody was booed and later, escorted out of the gym with the MVP chance since Rocky Balboa and Ivan Drago fight in Russia. So that's huge. In my eyes, that's huge.
Hey, but this bronze medal game, even though it is a bronze medal game, it had a really bad NBA early stage regular season vibe. I'm sorry. I enjoyed like the last 5 minutes, which I usually do. 7 minutes, yeah, and the overtime, which is usually the case when you watch a random NBA regular season game. So yeah, I was kind of disappointed with that, and you could sense that something's gonna be wrong when you see that Paolo Banchero is not suiting up, Jaren Jackson Jr. is not suiting up. It didn't feel like Team USA was treating this bronze medal game as an important game. Maybe Canada had more motivation. Maybe Canada wanted it a little bit more, and maybe Dylan Brooks had a point to prove. So they deserved the bronze medal more, definitely. Of course, there was this spectacular Mikal Bridges play and everything, but
why the hell Dylan Brooks is going for a rebound when
I don't know,
they're going to miss? I was like, oh my God.
I don't know. Although, again, even though he grabbed the rebound, to make that shot, you have to be a hell of a basketball player. So, I don't think this game deserves too much attention on our podcast. It's a high-scoring game. Yeah, we had an overtime. Yeah, we had fun for 5 minutes, but those first 3 quarters were unbearable, honestly. And yeah.
It was the most casual third place game I think I ever witnessed, because they were not playing defense for 32 minutes. It meant a little bit more for Canada, but they were still playing a longer rotation. So
And August, you're into analytics, like you're into breaking down games. Was Steve Kerr coaching today? Well, I mean, come on.
I mean, he had like what, 8 guys on the
Okay, he had
rotation.
nine
So
guys, but the fact is, like, you're trying the small ball. It obviously hurts you in the beginning of the overtime, and then you're putting Bobby Portis on the court when it's already too late. And Canada basically hits you all the time where it hurts the most. Like, they want to attack Austin Reeves. So in FIBA game, you're allowed to make these offense-defense substitutions when there's less than 2 minutes to play, and he does not use that. It didn't really seem that he's bothered to think about these small details that might actually help you win the game.
look, we are really surprised about this, but Team USA is playing a different basketball, and I think that was one of their weaknesses. They're not using fouls before bonus. They were switching a lot, but they're not fouling in the post, and this allows easy scores. This allowed so many easy scores for Germany. I'm not talking about today. They're not making these substitutions. That's also a little detail, that could help that you mentioned. And it's just, I'm thinking that maybe, a European coach or European whatever could help them in these tournaments, because
And it's clear to see. It's clear to see that they have more than enough talent. When you see Edwards making those Dwayne Wade-like shots, or Mikal Bridges with his trailing mid-range shots and three-pointers and everything else, you see that they have more talent than any other team, but this year they just couldn't become a real team that plays winning basketball. And I'm kind of disappointed also with their approach for the third place game. You're still playing for the medal. I know it's bronze, but in the past, in, let's say, Athens Olympics or 2006, they were beaten in the semifinals, but at least the guys were up for bronze, so managed to take that. Just show some pride. I mean,
That was very interesting conversation. Sorry, I just missed it because like 6 volunteers were taking selfies with me. So the entire time, I mean, we really have to wrap it up because we have to leave
what's
this
up,
room.
a new fourth member of our bonus podcast?
Yeah, in 2-3 minutes we have
so
to
wrap
leave
it
the
up. I
building.
mean, we said everything there's to be said, in my opinion. August and I shared some thoughts, and you were there having fun.
No, I actually heard everything you said, and I agree with everything you said. But the last thing that I think has to be mentioned is how well this FIBA World Cup was organized. It was my third World Cup. I had numerous Eurobasket experiences, and I mean, I fell in love with Filipino people. They were so great. They were so nice all the time. And as I said in the beginning of the competition, usually it's all about the people, not about the conditions, media workroom, internet, cable, Wi-Fi and stuff. It's all about the people, and these people made this whole experience great. But this time it's not just about the people, man. I mean, the refereeing, the whole event organizing, media stuff. I mean, to me it was a perfect FIBA competition, and it's kudos to FIBA, to all the departments, because it was a really great event.
And can I just say that the highlight of my journey here was that yesterday 2 random guys approached me at a bar, and they asked me for a photo because they thought I was Luka Doncic. So that's my highlight.
You know what was my highlight? That people in Philippines listened to our podcast and they asked for selfies, not just because I looked as Kristaps Porzingis like in the opening day of the World Cup, but because they follow our content, they follow YouTube, basketnews.com YouTube channel, and they listen to our podcast. So wow, it was like interesting moment, let's say, to try to understand, to realize that it was something else, like my colleague Lukas Pandanauskas says, that this podcast, took us to some places like Philippines.
I'm not going to share my highlight because I wasn't there, but it was a cool championship. I don't know what to say, guys.
You were doing freaking good job with these breakdowns, man. Really, I've received a lot of feedback from the colleagues from Greece, from other countries. We see numbers. We see the feedback in the comment section. I mean, you were killing. You were cooking.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all.
So yeah, that's
You
about
have
it.
to close it some way, Donatas, you know.
I don't know how to close it.
Have you prepared any talk?
I wish I had the can of beer like Gordon Herbert had, just to sip it and just to sit down, relax, and enjoy this whole experience with the memories. That's what we will definitely do with the colleagues after we will finish this podcast. So once again, just thank you all for following, listening to it, giving a feedback, staying with us throughout the whole competition. Especially a big shout out to the whole Basket News team, social media, video department, writers, both Lithuanian and English editions. They did a huge job, you know, to please your basketball, let's say, needs, and even more and even extra. So huge. That was huge.
Follow us even after the tourney.
Yeah.